All right, let's kind of get to our next segment here. So we are lucky enough every Monday to be able to talk to a founder of a chain, and that founder is Jeff from Merlinchain. Merlin has been one of the strongest coins in the last, I want to say, a couple months here. We've seen on 10/10, October 10th, with a huge liquidation. Merlin was one of the few tokens that did not just have a crazy downward candle. Merlin is building something awesome. He actually recently just had an upgrade as of last week, which does some really cool stuff with some Bitcoin L1 type of area. We're going to talk about that. We're talking about so much more. But without further ado, let's bring in the man himself. Let's bring in Jeff. Jeff, welcome back to On-Chain Revolution, sir. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, sorry about missing last week. And I mean, these 2 weeks are very rough. Bitcoin, I think it might still go down a little bit. I think the whole market sentiment is bad. Lots of bad things happen. I can share more details, during the show. And always feel good to be back, and always feel good to be back to share more stuff we're building.
Yeah, glad to have you back for sure. Curious though, I kind of want to jump right into it because you have the experience of being in the space for a long time, and one of the topics that we've been talking about, the main topic of the show, is this time different? And you can look at this chart here, and the past 2 times that Bitcoin had formed a weekly candle underneath the 50-week SMA, it was the start of a bear market, right? You saw it here in July 20, I think it was actually May or June of 2018. And then you had about 2.5 months of sideways. And then, the bear market was there. And then December of 2021, it broke down, formed a candle below this yellow line is the 50-week SMA. It had about 2 months and then broke down, bear market. Here, the difference is we actually had these euphoric peaks in 2021 and 2017 for Bitcoin. We haven't had that necessarily here. Is this time different because of the whole TradFi? What's your thesis on that in terms of the 4-year cycle maybe going away?
Yeah, I think the cycle is. I think we talk about this a lot. I think the cycle is definitely different. In my opinion, it's different. It's because it has more outside influence, from ETF, from DAT, from U.S. government, from different countries' government. So I don't think Bitcoin is a independent asset anymore like before, because before it's very niche market. Some people are doing it, but in general, it's like when we see miners start dumping all their Bitcoin, the price goes down, and that's what happened in ICO era, and also what happened in the COVID era. But this time the price is more pushed. Like last year, it was pushed because of ETF. We saw a lot of ETF coming in and buying Bitcoin. And this year we see lots of DAT company, like starting with BitMine, MicroStrategy, and we see lots of policies which some of them are already finished, done by Trump government. Some of them are not. So so nobody can predict what happened next. With the interest rate, is it dropping again next year? SEC, will they have a new chairman? What is Trump going to do with crypto? Is the trade war going to be bigger or smaller? Will China and US have a peaceful trade deal? Will China have a war with Japan and Taiwan? There are lots of things considered, and because they are the major holders for Bitcoin right now. So that's why we're looking at them all the time. Before, we're looking at all these sleepy whales.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. It's definitely different. We can't, and that's been one of the hardest things is forecasting and speculating, which is a part of our job, obviously. And so it's been really tough with that. One of the comments that I made was, take this as an opportunity that if it is change the 4-year cycle, learn how it's going to either form into a new way of being successful in this industry, or if there's a new type of cycle. But I think it's more of that first one. It's more about learning what is going to affect, what variables are affecting our industry now, which has changed as like every 4 years was kind of like a casino opportunity, make money, come out, and then 4 years later, same thing. Now it seems like, hey, this is a living, ongoing market, and learn it as it's being formed right now.
Yeah, definitely. And it just has more things to care about, and the game is different too. Many people made money last time, lost their money this time. So I think the painful part and the beautiful part about crypto is you have to keep learning. Everything you learned last year doesn't make any sense now. Anything you learned last cycle definitely not making any sense now. So
Yeah, for sure. Tom Lee came out with this quote this weekend, and he said, "To me, the weakness in the crypto has all the signs of a market maker or two with major hole in their balance sheet." And this is something that you actually hinted to us about 2 weeks ago, last time you were on, and you said, "Hey, I'm a little worried about some of these market makers right now." Are you still feeling that same way? And do you think Tom Lee's right here?
um, I think in general that's right. That's what we're talking about. I think like a month ago when the
Mhm.
incident happened, right? I say when you see this kind of liquidation, uh, definitely some people lost big money. I don't believe retail lose like 40 billion in one day. It has to be some institutions. I think that tweet is more about like a tweet that makes people wonder, oh, who is the market maker or two, right? But in general, I don't think it's like one or two. It's like a very complicated situation. I know some market makers lost some money, but so in their balance sheet, that's nothing. But also when you see like the string incidents, with all this vote, like the USDX, I believe, and also some other stable coins. I think right now stablecoin and all these vote liquidation or rock pool will be one of the main issues here, because like that, just like today, I don't know if you guys see the news, a project called Yala, which is a Bitcoin based collateral stablecoin. You guys probably know this idea. Use Bitcoin as collateral and have some
Mhm.
stables, minting from that, whatever. Many people are doing that. I think their their stablecoin depegged basically goes to zero, and they haven't
Ooh.
explained. Yeah, they haven't explained the situation yet. But this is just one case happened today. In past 2 weeks, I saw several projects having the same issues. Like I don't want to name names. Some of them already depack the rug pull. Some of them are in the process because the other thing was kind of alarmed 2 days ago by some on-chain detectives and stuff. So there's still lots of that going on. What happens is first the users lose all the liquidity first. Second is if the project, if the hacker, if God knows whom, if they use those token to borrow assets from lending protocols, that will cause other problems after that. So it's like it's like a cycle. One goes to zero and hurts others. So for example, I think in the past 2 weeks, if you go on all these major chains, even Sway, if you go on Navi, all the stables liquidity are drained, are withdrawn. So for example, I like to explain this in a easier way to understand. So for example, if you lend stables to others and you earn rate, right? So you're doing everything fine. You do nothing wrong. You put your stables there to earn interest rate, to lend to others. And other people use their crap, whatever that token is, to borrow stables from you, and they just don't give it back to you. So what happens right now is all these lenders who try to withdraw tokens, they can't because the pools are all drained. And all these chains and lending protocols try to put in more, like 30 million, 60 million. When they put money in, it got drained like in seconds. So you can see many lenders, they cannot withdraw their stables, but still they're making like 150% yields. But when these collaterals cannot be paid out, they will get all these scrap tokens, and they cannot redeem them to wherever chain that is or wherever protocol that is. And what bad about this is I saw the influence a couple months couple weeks ago. I think I talked to Shizi about that. Is it started with some really really bad protocol that has no like no legit things at all. But then you will have influence on some other protocols who are somehow legit, but also have because every protocol has some liquidity issues, probably has some liquidity issues behind that. And then people got panic, people start withdrawing, people start redeeming, and they just cannot pay it. Just like what happened with the Silicon Valley Bank. I don't know if you guys remember that, because like no bank can say they're safe. No bank can say that. Probably U.S. government can do that because they can print money all the time. But so that will go from all these bad projects to somehow in the middle protocols, and then influence some really really legit projects like Ethena. So you can see Ethena, like I think their circulation was like 13 billion US dollars, now down to like I don't know 87. I haven't checked yet, but like 87. So if people start getting more and more panic and start withdrawing liquidity, it could be a very very bad instance, and it will have influence on everyone. Don't think if you don't be if you're not lender on chain. Also, the lending protocol can be can be rocked, can be hacked. And then think about all these exchanges. Every exchange, including Binance, OKX, BitGet, Gate, whatever. Every exchange is using Ethena, have Ethena on the exchange. So everyone will be influenced as long as you play this game. And even you are just buying BRC20 on Bitcoin, doesn't matter, because all these people will just dump all their altcoins, just trying to get liquidity back. So you will be affected as well. So sorry taking this long, but to me, for the past 2 weeks, what we're monitoring, I think the stablecoin or LRT wrapping or all these lending protocol are the main concerns, because we're kind of helping different lending protocols to share all liquidity to them with stables. They're giving like very very high yield, but also when we put in, the money just disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, don't apologize. I think that was an amazing breakdown of what's happening behind the curtain in the scene. Obviously, with the information and stuff that we have, and the audience, I'm sure they appreciate that, definitely. But it's almost kind of like October 10th was just too kind of plan for max pain from like institution to institution globally, and maybe there's going to be some regulation that gets passed to make the space feel better or something like that, right? And we know that there's something coming up. Could you see a scenario to where there's going to be some hey, look, if you get in trouble, we can help you out type of regulation coming?
I think in long run it will happen, but right now it's just too complicated for regulators, for government to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Binance is not running in US, but it has influence on all the other exchanges and market makers. So imagine you are a market maker in US who is trading on Coinbase, which can be okay, but you're also trading on other exchanges as well, to arbitrage. So it's not running in US, but also has influence on every other exchange. And nobody knows who started this. Like, does it started on Binance or on other exchanges? Like, all these questions are not answered yet. So, and also government, US government is still having struggle with all this shutdown, whatever thing. I don't think they have their priority on crypto at this moment. So I think in general, the industry is getting more and more regulated for sure, comparing to a few years ago. But I don't think that problem can be solved now. And the reason I brought up the stablecoin, the vault situation is those people who are having your assets are doing market making, are doing arbitraging, are doing all this to make yields for you. And if they got like liquidated in that instance, that's why right now my major concern is about on-chain lending and all this stable coin, because nobody knows like who got affected the most, and it will just show like weeks by weeks, probably not now, but by days and weeks later, you will see, okay, this protocol definitely got hacked, or definitely got like liquidated because they cannot redeem your assets.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when it comes to like Bitcoin, like dipping and stuff like that, and basically who's selling down their Bitcoin to kind of fix holes in their balance sheet and stuff like that. That's definitely a question that I'm thinking about right now. But the MERL token has been something that's been insanely strong. I mean, there's one of the few tokens who, like I said, really didn't get hit by that 1010 liquidation event, but it has been strong against everything. I mean, it's about 35 cents right now. In June, this thing was like 7 cents. Why do you think that the MERL token has been so strong when it comes to everything else?
To be honest, I think it's just because we actually buy token back from the market. It's a simple math question because everybody is selling, everybody is losing money. Even you are not losing money on MERL, you probably lose money on some other assets. So you need to sell that token, the only token that makes you profits, dump it and buy something else. To make sure you don't get like liquidated. So that's what happens, in the bear market, that nobody can survive. It's just because if your price is okay, people will sell that and to buy others. That's just what panic people will do. So but we continue to buy back, executing what we made promise of. We don't know how much revenue we'll have in the future in the next few months, but whatever we have, we put them into the buyback plan. And I think that's why it gives people confidence, and it also gives holders like a more confidence to become a diamond hand to hold token.
Yeah, I was also thinking that potentially it could be the yields. I mean, you guys are the only ones I know are giving 45% yield on a 6-month lockup, and on top of that, you get 15% yield with no lockup. Do you think that's a part of it as well?
Yeah, of course. And when people are making money by staking, and you can, like, when we talk about this staking like a month ago, if you actually listen to the show and start doing that, you're definitely making a lot of money, because even by the linear investing to your wallet, you can sell that to cover your original assets. But in general, you're making like a lot of money. So yeah, but I don't think there's any magic behind everything. It's more about building, be there, and like use money, use treasury, to buy back tokens to give confidence to markets. I cannot say for sure, MERL token is going to be up again, up more, but I'm just saying, I think right now it's in a healthy situation.
Yeah, and another thing as well is, I think, always be prepared for worst case scenario, right? And a lot of retail users, I think a lot of builders were just counting on 2025 to see some sort of peak of euphoria. And I think that really hurt a lot of people. But the biggest lesson is be ready for any situation, the doomsday situation, whatever it is. And I think people will probably use that more in the future as well. But I'd love to get into the updates for Merlinchain. There was a ZK update as well. Could you get into that and talk about how it affects the Merlinchain and what users can look forward to?
Yeah, it's more like preparations, prepare, upgrade for the future major upgrades. We're still trying to achieve the goal that doing rollups on Bitcoin Layer 1. We saw lots of protocols claim they can do Bitcoin Layer 1 smart contract or rollups throughout the years, like in past 2 years. But I don't think any of that is the ideal solution in my mind. I'm sure you guys probably went deep into those protocols before, but somehow they're using third-party validators or nodes, whatever, indexers to do whatever they claim to do. But BitVM is something that you can fully verify transactions on Bitcoin Layer 1, and it's fully trustless. So that's still the goal we're going for. And we are working with many other teams as well. We just had a call with the Bitcoin OS the guys. So yeah, so I think we are still trying to do that, and in order to do that, we need to have some minor upgrades, time to time, probably like half a year, and we aim to actually achieve that in 2026 or 2027, but it's not a easy job. So I think that's just something we need to do, no matter how the market, how the price is. We still need to achieve that. If someday Bitcoin Layer 2 can actually do that, I think that will be very, very important for their long-term ecosystems, because people can have fully trust on that. Right now, we see all these solutions, all these layer twos, all these whatever swap. People can still challenge that, but I think one day BVM actually like succeeds on layer one. I think that's the day people can be very trustless and no questioning about the structure anymore.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, doing transactions on Merl and having them rolling up and finalizing on Bitcoin, very similar to how when Base does a transaction, it eventually finalizes on Ethereum. This could actually open up a lot of leeway for you guys, where you guys can, use native Bitcoin and stuff like that. Is that kind of where you see Merl going in the next years to come?
Yeah, because right now it's still more like, we marketing, we have community, we convince people to do. But in the long run, like for example, someday if we want to try to convince MicroStrategy to put their Bitcoin on Merlin, that's like, the step one you need to do, because they need to make sure you are, trustless solutions. And we see lots of institutions, put their money on the Ethereum layer twos. So I think that's what the Bitcoin layer two needs. No matter, how safe we claim ourselves to be, still, I think the infrastructure is the most important part. But like I said, I think, like last year, like 18 months ago, I always say, people are hyping this idea a lot. You see lots of people hyping about the BitVM on the Twitter, like, pretending they are the expert on that. Nobody actually achieved it. So, like I said, building is always a long run. It's a marathon. So it doesn't matter what you said. It matters, who actually did that, like finally.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's honorable that you guys are sticking to what you said in the beginning, and that was one of the long-term goals there. Even though it's been really, really hard, and you said a lot of people basically, are attempting this, it's not having success with it yet. But I do believe there will be success. Those, that whole BitVM group, they are working hard on it, and they're passionate about it. But in
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, but like right now, there are very few people like still talking about BVM, like a year ago. Very few people talk about what's that. Like I already forgot. Like
Was it
what's
the
the new update for Bitcoin
new
Layer
bit?
one? No, like
Uh,
what they are trying, like the
bit
whatever
bit
smart
four four
contract.
four. Bit
Yeah,
444.
something like that. Like a new upgrade on Bitcoin Layer one, like the protocol, like yeah, like. But now, like people don't talk about that anymore. I think so. That's why you see many people are just trying to use the narrative to hide the project, but like just like nothing can be accomplished very easily.
Yeah, Cat VM was one of them too, with the whole Udi and OpCat and stuff like that, and all that stuff. That's pretty funny. But what about other aspects of Merlinchain? You have the Wizard, which is your AI product, which is amazing. You can do cross chain swaps and stuff like that. And then you obviously have your main product, which is the BTC Fi. Is that still the main focus, or are you guys kind of focusing more on Wizard now? Where are you guys at?
Yeah, I think BTC is definitely right now. We put more effort in, and especially when we saw a DeFi problem there, we see some like major risks there. So we need to make sure that our stakeholders are staying safe. For example, like the balancer incidents got hacked that day. We need to figure out do we have exposure with balancer, which is no. But we need to figure out what's going on. And also right now you see lots of lending protocols like we are on safe, but there are some incidents happening there. You see lots of announcement made by Navi, all these protocols on daily basis. So we need to track the chain on-chain activities. We need to track everything. Even we're not the founder of Sui or Navi or all these lending protocols, but we need to pay more attention than others, because we want to make sure that we have exposure there. And also, so that's why we kind of turn off our risk mode, try to make sure our users don't lose any money, but at the same time try our best to earn some yields somewhere. So yeah, I think right now BTC is something take most of our efforts and time and resources to do. If we can get through this phase, if we see like no major risks on chain anymore, if we see Athena doing well again, yeah, probably we'll having more resources and time for other innovations. I think right now people should be focused on lose less. It's very hard to win, but it's very easy to lose.
Yeah, I love that. Lose less, win more, if you can. But as my final question, 2 weeks ago, we had a conversation about X402. You were knee deep in the research for that. Are you still feeling bullish on that whole narrative?
I still feel bullish. I think that's what actual bullish protocol should be, because you see many artificial hype in the past few years. And what happens is, it goes up. Everybody, trying to, getting FOMO. Everyone's getting FOMO and trying to make some money, and then everyone lose money. But right now, when I see all these, X402, no matter it's like tokens or protocols or builders, I think they're taking their time. It kind of like I mean, 99% I can be wrong, because it's always easy to be wrong on new narrative. But I think that reminded me of what happened with BRC20 at beginning. Like some people are very bullish about it, some people are not. There are lots of FUD, BRC20 already at that time. But we see many steady builders just keep silent, but like keep building. And eventually, a month later, you see lots of products using ordinal inscriptions to do cool things. And if you see like all this artificial hype, which means you only see people bullish and you see nobody FUD, because everybody's trying to make money out of that. But with 402, we see lots of opinions going on. We see lots of builders doing stuff behind the curtain. So yeah. So to me, I think right now, I really feel pretty good about that. Not suggesting any token. I don't have any X402 token at all. I just think it's more like a builder thing at this moment, and I'm glad it's more a builder thing, because if we have like 100 tokens about that could be very, very bad news.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. And it seems like it's an innovation that's bringing builders together rather than trying to split liquidity, like you said. So that is definitely a plus there. All right. So one last question from the audience, sort of. So, like, Bitcoin Core is the software that most of the nodes are running right now. And then you have Bitcoin Knots. And so Knots is the ones that's trying to filter the spam, get rid of ordinals and stuff. So I assume you are a supporter of Bitcoin Core.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. But I really don't have time to be a supporter right now. I'm just a guy, just my own business, stay away from all this stuff.
Political
I think,
stuff.
yeah, I think like the last year, I think the political stuff ruined the community, like with the BRC20 versus ruins. Like everybody loses. It's always about if you win together, or you lose together.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, Shizzy, do you have anything else for Jeff?
That's it.
All right, Jeff. Well, we appreciate your time. As always, very valuable time you give us every week, and we look forward to speaking with you next week.
Cool. See you guys.
Thanks, Jeff.
Take it easy.